and Breakdowns.
Welcome back to the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. We have another great episode. It's second episode of the year, so I'm super stoked on this one. We're on episode 93, and today we have Kendra from Funky Town Fridge, which is one of your endeavors, but
yes.
It's the one that I kind of heard of first, which is a concept that's really just it's a really cool concept, but the thing that caught my attention is how local to my own community it was. So you're, I guess we can start there. You're a Fort Worth native.
Yes.
And so you grew up in this area. So seeing something like that reflected in a community that I belong to is really cool.
Yeah.
I guess what was the driving force before, like, to try to start something like this?
I'm from Fort Worth. Yeah. I grew up in the projects, so I seen a lot of things, and I seen a lot of hungry people. And I just remember as a kid driving through Lancaster and looking at all of those people that were just homeless and unable to take care of themselves. And I don't know, I always wanted to do something about that. And I can't house everybody, but I could try to feed them. And so when the concept came, not concept came to me, but when I seen it on Instagram at another city, I believe it was New Orleans, when I seen it there, I was like, man, I think I can do this. Like, I think I can make it happen. Plus, it was during the time of the 2020 Great Awakening, I guess. And so there was a lot of protesting happening. A lot of people were getting hurt. And I wanted to create something long-lasting and tangible.
Okay.
That would result from all of this hard work. So does that make sense?
The word tangible jumped out at me, and the reason that word jumped out at me is because that's what it feels like. It's something that is. For lack of a better word, there's no middleman to go through. Like, because of the concept, basically, I mean, if I'm wrong, you correct me on any of this, but with Funky Town Fridges, it's just public fridges and pantries out in just these public areas. The one that I know is the one next to the the Northside Food Bank. So it's right there on the side. That's, I mean, the funny thing is that's literally like maybe 2 to 3 blocks from where my mom is from.
We're on the north side too, right? Yeah.
We're a little off from the north side right now, but it's, I mean, this is like
5 minutes down the road.
Away.
Yeah,
But
right
literally from my mom's house, it's 2 blocks, which is where I grew up. Like, I used to go, and my grandmother, actually, who just passed, used to always go to that center. But it's they're just out there, and you can come and drop off food, and people, there's no one to talk to, there's no one to go through, there's no like paperwork anyone needs to fill out. If they're hungry, they have a place where they can just go and pick stuff up for them, which to me is like, that's so simple. When sometimes you think about these ideas of like how to help people and I'm like, this is the simplest way like one of the simplest ways possible that I've seen, where it's just, if you have something to contribute, you can roll by the fridge, stock it up a little bit with, anything. Anyone's going to be appreciative of anything that they're finding here, and such easy and quick access to them.
Yeah, I hope so.
No, actually, recently we had a little a show we put on, and then we thought it'd be fun to just do a food drive, and we was like, okay, we'll see what like turns up. And what people contribute. We actually ended up contributing quite a bit. I was excited that people were excited to bring stuff.
That was a lot.
Yeah, and people were happy. Like, people were like, people were like, where do I put this? And with droves. And
that's what I was, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No.
But that's what I found from people, not necessarily the most, but frequently. Like, people were looking for ways that they would be able to help their fellow neighbor or help out their community, or ways that they can volunteer, something that they could do to maybe fulfill themselves, to maybe just want to be generous and offering out. People have big hearts and they want to help other people. And so a lot of people have told me that, like, oh my God, you gave me something to do. Or stay-at-home moms. Yeah. I've met a lot of stay-at-home moms that go grocery shopping, and they'll say, well, we always put like a $50 budget in for the fridge, and then we'll go weekly and we'll take the kids. And I try to make it inviting for everybody. I try to make it inviting, especially for children. That's like always my number one priority. And that was my number one like forethought in creating this, which is why I it's important for it to be so colorful and just like so open and hopefully inviting and you know, kind of, and guilt free and stigma free.
Yeah. There's I don't know. There's a disconnect. I mean, that's happened. I think a little bit more with technology and stuff like that, where community is a little a little more scarce.
True.
You know what I mean? People. The thing is, people will crave it. They just like with that no like in-person communication. You can drive down the street and see, you know, a bunch of like where you see like homeless camps and stuff like that, and maybe not give it a second thought because it's fleeting. It's just like, there's nothing happening, or you know, and you have to accept it instead of. And this offers like again a real, tangible way for you to maybe start off that connection. It's like, if you can't go person to person or whatever, like, sock this, and it's helping. Again, if in the Fort Worth area, it's helping. And you live here, it's helping directly people that are in your community, the people that you are driving by. Like, okay, well, they have a place, and I'm helping in some way. You know
that's how we came up. Like, that's how I grew up. That's how my aunties and my mother and my grandmothers and just people around have taken care of us. It's having a home is important. Having a home is not something that everybody has. And so I've watched my great grandmother's house be a home for so many people, and just be a place where like people can just, if they don't have food that week, or if they're hungry, they know that every Sunday they can go over there and they can get a meal. Or even if they just walk in on a random day and need some food, she's going to find whatever it is in the kitchen to feed you. I mean, that's important. Like, if I don't break bread with you, I don't love you. And that's something that's always been like just embedded in us. Like, that's a way that we bond, especially as Black people. Like, we cook, everybody's in the kitchen, they're making food, you have your recipes that have been passed down. It's something about being able to have a space where you can fellowship and convene and communicate with the people that you love, especially if you don't get to do it all the time. And now in an age where individualism is like at an all-time high. So it was important for me to do my best to plant roots of community and really what that looks like to me. And it's important to me to try to like give that same love out to the world that I had. Yeah, so I mean, your community, again, growing up from what you're saying, it's like your family, your grandmother doing this, but also like your community continuously increasing by just new people stopping by and like sitting down for dinner and stuff like that. I always think of my grandmother that way because, well, first of all, I call her my grandmother, but she's technically not my like biological grandmother. It's just she helped when my mother came. Like when my mother was young, had to work like the entire time. She offered to take care of me, so I became an adopted grandson. But then I realized that she had a lot of those. Like she had a lot of adopted grandsons, and she had a lot of where when we would show up on Thanksgiving, it's so many people that are not blood. It's all these people that are invited because like if you want to come spend time with a family or you don't have, and it was a lot of the people who just didn't have family or like their family was a little hard to go to just to spend like some time together. And there's a lot of people that just knew her from that reason, just would come visit. That's what love does though, right? Like love is just a simple invitation in, like come in. Come in. What do you need? What do you need? And how can I help you get there? Just come. Yeah,
and you're right with if I'm understanding, like individualism is what you called it. It's a little bit more of a just like again a me perspective, and like it gets hard when I think it's hard when I like notice and step back and realize that that's what I was doing, because I'm like everybody else's stuff was like an inconvenience to me for a while, and I'm like that feels so terrible. Like when you stand back and think about it that way, I'm like, I hate that. That's my first thought. I'm like, how is this going to inconvenience me? When a lot of times people sometimes just need someone just to talk to, and even that I wasn't like giving time or space to, and it didn't make me feel well. And then like there are limitations of what you can offer and everything like that. I feel that, but sometimes taking that extra little moment just to spend time with people, to add a little community. That's what with Noise Riding shows, the stuff that we're doing is my main goal. Is one of the reasons like I like doing what we do is that the music community to me and going to local shows and stuff like that. That's what did it for me. Like I have tons of friends because I'm an only child. So like my friends were like who Wow. I totally built my like family off of friends because like my family life wasn't too close. It was like me and my mom, and we have like an aunt here and a few cousins, but we didn't spend too much time with each other. So that's who I built around it. So when I found like the music scene, I made tons of friends very easily, and I enjoy that so much. I'm like, oh, that made me feel comfortable. I don't know if people out there know like that's what happened, but I want to build the same thing like for them. But
people don't realize that you need community. You need a space where you can be around like-minded people, and it can be judgment-free, and it can just be an open space where you can be yourself, and then you can pour into others and they can pour into you. Like there's nothing on this earth. Nothing on this earth. And I know people are their families, and some people have strong families and some people don't. I don't. No. But there's nothing on this earth like a strong foundation of community and like understanding that and how it works. And a lot of the way the world is now is because we don't have community. Yeah. We don't have people we can trust or be vulnerable with or depend on or lean on. And sometimes we don't even make it a point to create those relationships. And I think that's also an issue with individualism, because people don't even have the intercommunication skills to know how to start a conversation with somebody and build upon that and create a strong relationship and bond. A lot of things is just like come and go now, and it's quick and it has to happen. And if it doesn't, then you're automatically like on the side of maybe hopelessness or thinking that like you leave that where it is, but you don't know what kind of potential is there if you don't try.
Yeah, there's very quickly, if you stop trying to create those like relationships, you're very inclined to be like, I'm alone. Like there's no one like me. If you stop trying to find a community, which is completely like wrong, because there's a community for everyone. Yeah. Like it's so many. You're gonna have to find them, and it's gonna take you time and find. But
you have to know yourself too.
You
have to know yourself.
Otherwise, you end up like making yourself fit into like communities that you really don't belong to.
Spaces you don't belong in.
Yeah. I spent a long time doing that. Yeah.
Spaces you don't belong in exist. Mm-hmm. You can't, just because you want to be somewhere or want to do something, that don't mean that's where you're supposed to be at. So.
Yeah. Well, you went to school down in Stephen F. Austin. Right?
What? Wait a minute. No. You did some research, didn't you?
A little bit.
Okay. Yes, I did.
And so you chose to go into like sociology. Yeah. And there's did you have an idea in mind on why you were pursuing something like that? Did you come in
I just wanted to graduate.
Oh yeah? Okay.
No. Oh wow, that's actually a great question. No, so I'm a first generation. Everything like I graduated high school first, I graduated college first. And so it was just a real whirlwind. And like culture shock all the way through. Not only was I first generation, but I was the first generation with PTSD, what I found out like later on. So, and I would wonder why I was struggling so hard to just like focus or like think or get what I need to get, because it wasn't that I wasn't capable, which I thought, or wasn't or didn't belong there, which I also thought. I had it a little harder, or it was a lot more complicated for me than it was for, I guess, the next other student. And so I came home after my freshman year. thinking I was helping my mother with my sisters. And that was just like, can I cuss on it? It was like a shit show. It was not what it needed to be. And so I came home for about a year, quit school, and I met my mentor, and she helped me get back in. And her and both, there was two mentors at one time, and they really kind of just took me in and just really helped shape and mold me and kind of love me and reparented me. And so they took me back to Nacogdoches, told me I had to get a degree. And told me I wasn't leaving without a degree. And we had a meeting with I was always in the College of Liberal Arts. Okay. Because I was studying criminal justice. Okay. For reasons that I shouldn't have been. And so we went back, spoke to one of the advisors, and then he brought up sociology as a major. He was just like, I think you'd be a good sociology major. And I was like, I already knew what it was, but I was like, I didn't know you can major in it. I didn't know that there were like alternatives and things you can do. And so he said that, and we were all like, yes. That makes sense. Yeah. Sociology with the emphasis in cultural anthropology. And then my minor was early childhood education, which is also good because I love kids. Like, I love babies. I love kids. And I basically raised all my siblings. So we ended up doing that. I got into the sociology program, excelled immediately, and immediately found out this is where you're supposed to be. Like, this is it. And so I really I love just sociology. Like, I love the study of people and being around people. I like having conversations with people and learning different individuals. And so it was just really kind of aligned and perfect. And so shout out to them. They really did, like, because, I mean, when I tell you I didn't have no real, like, family support or help in college, especially as a first generation. Like, I went to school, I think, with $100 in, like, a black trash bag. Wow. Yes. My auntie took me to school. No, my auntie took me to Walmart, bought me a bunch of groceries and clothes. My big cousin took me to school. And then from then on, kind of just on your own trying to figure it out. Yeah, it was just like, there you go. So it was a very trying time, but I thank God for it. Like, I thank God for the whole experience and for who I am, because a lot of that shaped me and made me and led me to my mentors. So, shout out to them, because I'm telling you, man. Like, you getting this degree. If it wasn't for them, who knows where I'd be, what I'd be doing, and not the people that I couldn't depend on. So I try to focus on that moving forward and grow from there. Mentors and people you find along the way are essential, like, to your growth and to where you end up going. Like, and that's good that you actually found some mentors who were actually beneficial. You know what I mean? Like, because then you also run into the other end of people on the other road who either don't want to help out or rather see you just like jealous of you.
Yeah, which was
what I grew up around.
Really, a lot of jealousy.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily grow up with that, but what I grew up with, I was gonna be a first generation, but because of that, my mother didn't know exactly what to do. And then, so I never ever fault her for that, because again,
you only know what you know, and how far you can get.
And then I remember going and having an advisor for like college applications and everything, and I had been accepted to like UNT to do something, and apparently everything was paid for. I just didn't understand it. You know what I mean?
What?
Like, and then last minute they're like, oh, they need you to live on campus, and I didn't know like that. And then they had sent me a letter about that or something, and I remember reaching out to her and being like, hey, like, something's changed. Like, what do I need to update? She disappeared. Like, and she was working out of somewhere. I'm not gonna say where, I guess. But I went to like the office. She wasn't there anymore. Like she was answering any phone calls or anything. Like no one knew anything about it. And I'm just like, what happened? Yeah. And she was back like the next year after that. But I'm like, oh, and I got scared and confused and I didn't know who to call. Yeah. So it ended up not working out. Yeah, but yeah, it was that lack of knowledge. Yeah.
Especially now. Especially now, and just like in retrospect and thinking about that, like, who really knows where I would be? That is crazy. And that's why it's important for, I don't know, people to take steps and people to branch out and people to meet other folks who I've always made it a point, just in my lifetime, to surround myself with people who have more than me and know more than me.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
If we're on the same level, there's absolutely nothing we like, and we're not elevating, then there's like I need to be around, and I've always been like had friends older than me too, which is kind of not on purpose. It just kind of happens that way. But these are people who, because I can't go to my parents for a lot of things, for like advice or situations or complications in life. And so I've always known that though. And so I've always made it a point to like know people who have more than me and who know more than me and are doing things, like seeking out people who are doing things that I admire, that I align with, that I want to potentially do in my own life. And so I really thank God for them, because who knows? Because I don't even know how I applied for my dorm, how I paid for it. I don't know. I don't even remember that stuff. Wow. How I even got there, like the very first time, like the first year. Because that's how I ended up leaving anyway. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought my mama needed I came home. So it's like, what am I finna do now? Yeah. I had me a little job. It was paying me $300 a week. I was making me some money. Yeah. I wasn't paying rent.
And you're like, oh, I can do this. Like, this fun. Not bad, yeah.
And I think my mother saw that, and she sat me down, and she was like, no. She's like, no, you going to school. Yeah. I don't know how you're going to get there, what you're going to do, but you're going to figure it out. It's like, okay. And that's how I ended up, talking to my mentor and saying, like, hey, I got to go back to school. I got to get back in. How do I? And I mean, from that point, that day on, she helped me the entire time.
That's awesome. I like the always having people around you that have more than you or know more than you. Like,
because I don't know nothing.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know nothing. I was just thrown out here.
It's like, I don't know anything. And if I'm the smartest guy in the room, then we got
in college. Like, my mama can't tell me, like, she don't know. And that's okay. Yeah. You just don't know, but I gotta find somebody who does.
Let's find somebody. Yeah.
I gotta figure out how I'm finna get where I want to go.
Which is, I like that in the aspect too of like putting yourself in those rooms and being uncomfortable with like, oh, the people know more. And it's fine. I used to stay out of them a lot of the time because I was like, I don't know enough. Yeah. I don't know enough to be here. And I would tell myself I don't belong here, like in these spaces and rooms. And people would bring out ideas and talk to me. I was like, oh, like, you need to talk to someone else. Like, that's not something I can do. And I have a friend, his name is Dizzy. He tells me a lot. He's like, you sell yourself short a lot. And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, and we were talking about something. He's like, oh, okay, you have a really like good set of like a good skill set. I go, you just don't see it. And he's like, tell me like how to do this. And he asked me, he's like, and I explained it to him, and he's like, I don't know how to do that. He's like, so you need to, he's like, you do earn your spot in those spaces, but you want to seek more than that. So I used to be scared of being just curious and being like not knowing something. Like if people would say words and I'd be like, I don't know what that means. Let me just keep talking. Like, it doesn't matter. And now like I stop so often, like especially in these conversations, because like I'll talk to people, I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know who that is. And it's fine because for the most part, all those rooms, people are like, oh, well, let me tell you, like, and then people will want to explain it, like it's definitely like not being afraid of like curiosity and being wrong, like being like it happens so frequently. Like it's crazy to think that I'm right all the time. Like that was a crazy way of living.
I'm a very curious person. Like I ask questions.
Yeah.
Who are you? What do you know? Where do you come from? I ask questions like, and I think I probably used to get on people's nerves with that as a kid, maybe. But oh well, like I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to know. But that's why a lot of people don't have knowledge either.
True. Yeah.
They don't ask questions. And they don't tend to be resourceful to try to figure it out for themselves. Like I never want to be that person. I want to always be a critical thinker, a person that analyzes what's in front of me and sees it for what it really is.
Yes.
And so if I cannot do that, then I don't need to be around it.
Yeah. Being able to take in information and have your own thought process with it. And then the other part that I've learned is also that your perspective is not the only one. Because, I used to generalize so much and be like, well, like, people don't think this way, when I really meant, like, I don't think this way.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? And I kept doing that funny. A lot. Instead, now I do not normally rebuttal anything immediately off the bat. I need to know, okay, if you think this way, why? Like, let's get there. Instead of just being super blatantly just like, no, I don't think that way now. And I don't even know where you're coming from or what your upbringing or what your education is or what you've learned. How do you know this? How are your experiences? And I'm already dismissing them. You know? And then that's when I learned that's what I was doing. I was just being dismissive of everybody else's actual life experience and where their perspective. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to take that step back. And if somebody says something that I immediately don't agree with or something, I'm like, okay, like let's find out why. And even if I still don't agree with you, like your perspective is valid because of whatever you're gone through.
For sure.
It's definitely a big one, but I think you found the right mentors, like to get you like on track and you get out of.
I found him, but it was also God.
Gotcha.
I found him, but I mean the relationship that we had, there's no other way to explain it but ordination. Like, if it wasn't them, who would it have been? Where would it have gone? It wouldn't. Yeah.
What's people?
And it's hard to meet genuine people.
Yeah.
Who really have like your best interests at heart and want to see you win and make it their business to help you make that happen.
Yeah.
And so I was like, these people are different. Like, I ain't never seen nothing like this before, but I think I need to stick with it. And so I'm a very big. It's crazy because my grandmother just said this on Christmas, because we get together on Christmas Eve and we sing and we carol and stuff.
Okay.
And then we always wait and let our aunties and our great grandmother speak, see if they have something to say, because it's our time when we finally all together for the year. And she told us that this past Christmas, she said, y'all all know how to pray. And she was right, and we do. And if I didn't lead a life in that, then I really don't know. Because you can meet mentors and they cannot be good for you. Like, you can meet people and they can totally turn your life upside down. And so, fortunately for me, that hasn't been my experience with outside people. Internally, yes. That hasn't been my experience with the friends that I meet, the people that I'm around, the people that I built like my community and my relationships with. Like, and that's something that I'm very, very thankful for.
Yeah.
Because
have you had luck like that with outside people like all the time, or is it something that you think as you've grown you've learned how to recognize who those people are? Always. See, I'm the opposite. I like to learn.
To be honest with you, my first bully was my mother. To be very honest with you. But I've always had discernment. And I really have always prayed. Like, that was the first thing my grandmother taught me how to do. And so when you lead your life like that, it's not hard to see and discern people and figure out what their intentions really are. Fortunately, thankfully, luckily, gratefully, I mean, all my friends I've had since elementary. My oldest friend I've had since the 4th grade. Like, all the friends that I've had throughout time and grew up with, we still cool. We're still friends. We still talk to each other. Check on their kids, like, you know. So I think that's why friendship and community is so important to me, because when I didn't have that internally, when I went to these people, all those things that I needed that I wasn't getting, they had. And so if you had what I needed, then I was going to keep you around.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, who wouldn't? Who would not do that?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep, you mean there's peace over here? You mean
That's a thing you can have? Like,
what? You mean there's happiness over, you mean like there's laughter, there's joy, there's fun, like more of this, please. How do I get more of this? And how do I curate more of this as I continue on throughout life? And God has really blessed me to be around some good, some amazing people. Even my first day in college, one of my friends came, helped me move in. Been there ever since.
Wow.
Like, even I just switched careers from teaching to now I do like insurance. And so I've never done this before. I've never been around these people before. And when I tell you, I can count on my hand how many meals I've paid for.
Wow.
Since I've been out there, met these people, met these friends, and we're just working together.
Yeah.
But these are like lifelong friends for me now. And so I just appreciate that. And I think when you're a good person, you're going to attract good, genuine people as well. And so that's what I try to be. That's what I try to do. I try to do right by people. I try to respect them. My grandmother has always taught me to do that and to do good in the world and put that out. And thankfully, so far, that's been coming back. And we all have our days and our times and our tragedies and our valleys. But overall, I really am grateful for people like that.
Yeah. I spent a lot of years putting myself into those spaces that I didn't belong in.
Yeah. A lot of us do.
Yeah. And it took a long time to now where now the set of people that I have around me and the new people that I keep adding to it, like I'm like sure of them. You know, it's no longer I wonder what they're gonna do in my life. Like if you're in, like you're in because like I know it now. You know, it's not as hard to discern it anymore. But yeah, before it's like I was definitely ignoring like all the signs where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be here. Like this isn't like the space I should be in or anything like that. But it goes along with craving that community, because I was craving it. I was just trying to find it wherever, like it was available.
That's where we mess up.
Yeah, that's where we mess
that's
up.
That's where you fuck up.
To now, where realizing that there's stuff that I can do that isn't that maybe wasn't in those, like if I explain a lot of like the ideas that I have if I explain them in those older communities that I was in, like they think it's dumb or they think it's like a waste of time or this and that. It's just this tradition. But I'm like, no, like I have a vision, like, and we're like, I'm going to pursue that. And in that pursuit, you find people that are doing the same thing, are pushing the same, you know, and are doing like awesome things. And people who, again, putting yourself in those rooms where people like know more and doing more, and it's not feeling jealous, feeling one, like super proud of like their accomplishments, they're doing it, but also like, cool, like I have somebody that I can talk to and learn from that's doing something similar to what I'm doing, and not being afraid of like feeling small next to them, instead of like, oh, like let me, you know, pursue with you. But you just switched careers, but you were teaching for a while.
Yes.
What were you teaching?
I finished teaching in world geography, which is my favorite so far. Yeah, that's always been my favorite. Yeah.
What is it?
Ninth grade.
Ninth grade. Okay. How was that experience?
Oh, it was fun as hell. Yeah.
That's fun as shit.
I love kids. Like I love, and I love like teenagers and just like kids in general. So kids don't do with me what they do with other people. So we really just be in the classroom learning and chilling. Yeah. And like, you know, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed my principal and the staff and stuff there. Like we had a time. We had a time in ninth grade geography.
I always think about like with teaching is how do people like find out like how they're gonna teach, like, or what kind of teacher you're gonna be, because there were a lot of like what you're talking about. It's like, oh, we were actually learning and just but actually having like a relaxed environment. It feels like there were some of those teachers that I had growing up that made me want to continue learning. Then there was the opposite of like the ones that made me hate. Yeah, and I just always wondered how like that deciding factor like happened.
I mean, I could be both. I have range.
Yeah.
I could be any teacher.
Try me.
Yeah. And that's how I came. That's how I would start.
Okay.
Yeah, like we're the biggest student in the room in here. And I'm little. And so they all bigger than me, really, in a sense. So it's like, who wanted with Debo around here? And so, I mean, I didn't even think that'll work for ninth grade, because ninth grade is a ruthless, like 15-year-olds, new teenagers are very, very ruthless. But we made it. Yeah. We made it. We were chilling. And I mean, it depends. I can be either or. Whichever teacher you want me to be today is the teacher I'll be. But 9 times out of 10, I was the roasting teacher.
The roasting teacher? Oh, no.
Well, really, they'll be roasting me.
Oh.
And
you were just trying to survive out here.
I really was. I just let me make it, please. I just 3:35, please.
3:35.
Let me get there. That's all I want to do. But yeah, it was fun. It was cool. The days went by faster. I love working with kids. I don't think I'll go back.
Okay.
Don't think I'll ever I don't really want to work for the state either. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but that was never going to be like a lifelong career for me. That's never. That was just always just a good start. And that was something I stumbled upon as well. Because, I mean, I'm a first gen. I don't know what the hell I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. And I'm a sociology major. So it's like, where can I go? What can I do? Like, stop handing me these museum pamphlets. No. Yeah, like, no. And so teaching, I ended up getting into this program called Freedom School. And it's a reading literacy program. And the school I was at just so happened to be for little young girls. And so we would teach them music literacy, but we also had to do this, like, I called it a boot camp. It was a lot and we were so tired, but it was rigorous and it was important. And I am forever grateful for it, because it helped mold me into the educator that I am today, which I still am. An educator. I still teach. Just not in a classroom setting all the time. But I do have a lot of knowledge and a lot to teach and to give people. It's just a matter of way of figuring out how to do that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't necessarily go mad.
I think that might be a chapter that specific one that's done. It's moving.
I love that program. It helped mold me into the woman I am. And a lot of what helped me decide the type of teacher I wanted to be was like the women I grew up around. Like, I want to be like my grandmother and my aunties. And like, I see how the neighborhood and the world and people embrace them and just like love on them because of who they are. And so I always wanted my core to be good like that, so that people can love me in that same way. And once you get kids to love you,
it's done.
Yeah. Especially teenagers. Especially teenagers.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I also read that you started a program that I would like more details. I didn't get a lot of details.
What program did I? Which one? Wait, which one?
The one I read was a program led in the NAACP for it was black women, right, to encourage them.
No, okay.
Okay.
So
that's what I read. Okay. That's why you're here to tell me exactly what I wanted to.
You did. Okay, so let me make that clear. So I was the president of the NAACP in my school.
Okay.
At SFA. Shout out to 6812. You know. I was the president of the NAACP. I think like my senior year of college. But before that, I did start an organization called Unblemished. And so what Unblemished was an organization that we would allow to cater to black women who were transitioning into natural hair and didn't necessarily know what to do or how to take care of it, and how to like not be so self-conscious. Because for Black women, our hair is really just like a strong staple of who we are. Not for all Black women, but for the most part. Mm-hmm. And so I grew up with natural hair. My hair had always been natural. And so me and another friend got together and just kind of revamped it. And from there, I just took it on, became president. We served about maybe 150 women.
So how would like that program work?
What we would do was or how it worked for us, we would search topics, research them, and figure out like if they wanted to know how to do a 3-strand twist. If we didn't know how to do it, we would research it, learn how to do it together, and then we would give out the information. And so it was like YouTube naturalistas and stuff. Like we were doing that, but in person. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, and that's how we were learning together. It's like, well, I was told to do this and not do this, or I really don't even know how to do my hair. I've never even been in a beauty supply, or I've worn wigs for the past 2 or 3 years, or I don't know how to properly wash my hair. There is a way to properly wash your hair and to properly take care of it and condition it. And so a lot of women who wanted to, I guess, especially at the time where this like started the natural hair movement or the beginning of it, I think a lot of Black women wanted the liberation of being able to wear their natural hair, but not the self-consciousness that it would bring or that it would feel like if you didn't know how to do it properly. And so we tried to together break down a lot of that stigma, fix and work on a lot of like internal self-esteem issues and issues, because we've all Black, now that's one thing all Black women know and experience is like self-esteem issues and issues internally about our hair and what it looks like, and people calling it nappy or ugly or I don't know, talking about you because of your hair. Like that's a real sensitive topic and issue for a lot of us. I've always
heard the old, like, people just reaching out randomly and like just touching people's hair.
No,
like,
don't ever do that.
So
not to me.
Wild. You know what I mean? Like it's just
that's crazy to do that to a person. Period.
It's crazy in general. You know what I mean? Like it's just so insane. But I've heard it mostly like in like Black women who get a lot of people just like, oh, let me. I'm like, what?
I'll tell my niece that. Like that's the first thing. I mean, that's like the first thing my mother taught me too, was don't let nobody in your head. Yeah. And don't let nobody play with your head. Like, don't touch me. Yeah. Don't touch me at all.
Yeah, it's so, but I think that's really cool because it offers a way for people to reach out again who have that insecurity or afraid of those stigmas, to learn how to actually take care of like their hair properly, and also like add a little pride to it. You know what I mean? Yes. To be happy about it, to be like, to want to show it off. You know?
We did hair shows. We did like poetry slams. Like we would have like little events and stuff too. Yeah. That kind of aligned with where we wanted to go and how we wanted to continue to build community with each other. Like a lot of these, I think my best friend was at a gym somewhere, and she said she met one of the girls from Unblemished. I think they had a conversation and ended up talking about probably SFA and asking if they knew me, and she was saying how she was in Unblemished, and Unblemished really like helped change her and kind of shape her and kind of mold her and help her really fully embrace herself, you know, in her hair and how it looks, because all of us have different hair, and to be comfortable with that. And that's one of the biggest or hardest things that most of us will struggle with. You know what I'm saying?
Sounds like it's a big part of even identity, of being comfortable with you, like yourself.
For sure. Yes.
Which
I know it is for me, for sure.
If that's something like I was in a position of, I would feel like maybe not embrace. And again, it's not for everybody. We're not generalizing or anything, but it might be a part of like you're trying, like not accepting a part of yourself, even if like I guess you don't wear it like all the time, but being able to know how to take care of yourself properly and stuff like that. And also it'll add to that just feeling good about who you are, your self-esteem, like, loving all of you. You know what I mean? And not just trying to hide away parts that you want to ignore. Yeah. Which I think it's hopefully it's a bigger movement happening with everything and overall, I think lately, is being more accepting of a lot of aspects. I think for the most part has gotten better. But it is something that, I don't know, comes maybe not only with age, but just like with wisdom and experience that, again, the love starts within. And like, once you have that, then like, can't nobody tell you anything.
Yeah.
Like,
you can
really.
do anything.
Yeah.
The limit does not exist.
Yes. Mean Girls
the limit does not exist.
That's something very, very like well learned that I've had. I'm like, like if I'm good with myself, like I am untouchable. Like,
I had to teach myself that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like as a child. Cause like I said, I grew up like in an abusive household. So looking in the mirror was hard. And so I would make myself. Cause I knew that these issues would come up like later on in life, and I didn't want to be a grown ass woman not being able to look at herself.
That's some foresight,
you know what I'm saying?
Right there. That's some.
I try to keep it.
Yeah.
I try to keep me a little wisdom, a little foresight. You know what I'm saying? A little discernment, a little sprinkle in there. So, because I mean, if you don't have it, it gets crazy. So, I would make myself look in the mirror and like what I see, or I would talk to myself and say that whatever was said to me that day, I would say the total opposite to myself. And I still practice that now. Like I still write. I want to be being Mary Jane so bad. I write like encouraging words and stuff. Especially when I first got to college, I would write like encouraging words on my mirror and like expo marker, and then I would have like sticky notes all over the place with just like quotes, encouragement, maybe a to do somewhere in there, but it was something to motivate me enough to train my mind to think differently, to help me get through every day. And I still have to do it. I still have to practice it. Like I still have to make sure I'm keeping myself I don't know, I guess aligned, for lack of a better word, to the woman that I want to be, because I'm not her yet. Yeah. And she's still waiting on me, and I have to, when I get there, I have to be my best self. And if I'm not, then I would be disappointing her. Yeah. And I can't disappoint myself. That's the number one person. I gotta make sure.
Yeah. If she's good, you're good, and everybody else is good.
I can't disappoint myself. At all. And that's something that I've had to train and teach myself, especially in college, because a lot of the times it will be like, oh, you have to make everybody proud. You have to make your family proud. I'm first generation. So it's like, you got to make everybody else proud but yourself. Yeah. You got to look out for everybody else but yourself. You have to make an example for everybody else but yourself. No, I need to be my own example.
Absolutely.
I need to know where I want to go and how I want to get there and who I want to be when I get there.
I think I had that a lot growing up, where I felt like I couldn't do that for myself. So I would, it's hard. It's a typical thing. So I was like, but I can do that for other people. And then I would do my hardest to do that. And then every day, end of the day feeling empty. You know what I mean? Because I didn't take the time to fill my cup up. You know, I was like, we'll fill everybody else's up first. And then because I thought, I was like, well, if I can't like do it, then I can make other people whatever feel better. And then finding out later that the more that I made sure that I was good, the easier it was to help out people.
Everybody else,
and the easier it was to offer that without even trying. Because there were some people that once I made that transition, I kept getting stuff like, dude, I just like being around you. Like you didn't do anything, but it's helping me push that. Or other people starting things because they were like, oh, like I saw you doing this. And I'm like, okay. And that's just me worrying about me. You know what I mean? Worrying about whatever, my health or my mental health or anything specific. And then like it made me more willing to help people out without being like, oh, I'm not helping myself first. I'm like, no, I'm good. So I know I can give, and also recognizing when I'm not. And I'm like, okay, I can't at the moment. offer anything like that, or offer as much help as I can to some people before I can take care of myself.
Yeah. So I've learned, and this is just by living and being around people, because people tell me all the time that they're inspired by me. And I'm just like, girl, let's take a bubble bath. Like, what do you mean? Like, inspired? Inspired now. But people tell me that all the time. And I think if you just live your life and you live it right, and you live it the way that right is to you, people will be inspired by who you are somewhere, even if it's just one person.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily need that, but like I said, we do need community. We do need each other as people. That was the whole point of starting Funky Town Fridge in the first place. So I think that that's important to have, and that's important to do. And if you if you struggle to make yourself well, then people will see that, and that'll be something that people don't want to follow. But if you live a life of alignment and inspiration and joy, or whatever it is, that those good things in life that people want and can't necessarily get from somewhere else, if you live your life in those things, then people will see it. They'll be inspired by you, and they'll know who you are. Yeah. And just by doing that, you're edifying somebody else. So I think that's why it's always been important for me to do my best to live my life as righteously as I can, or to walk a straight, not narrow, but a straight a path as straight as I can. Because at first it was like, oh, I have all these people, because I'm the oldest too. So I have three other sisters, and then I have two little brothers, and so it was like I have to show them these things. I have to, because one day they'll grow up and they'll see, especially now, like I'm always in the media. I'm always doing an interview or something. I want them to see that their big sister has lived a life that they can imitate, and then they can be proud of. And I think that's important for me. Like, and even if they aren't, I still did that for myself. Yeah.
I mean, you have that added where you're like, if I inspire them to do something, that's good. But when you're doing it without, on purpose, and like, oh, I'm doing it for somebody, you're doing it for yourself, like that naturally just happens. You know what I mean?
People see it.
People see it, and and it's when you're just doing it, when you're doing the best thing for what's going to make you feel the best as a person.
When nobody is looking.
When nobody's looking.
Who are you?
Like,
what's your integrity? What's your morality? What's your principle? Like, who are you for real?
Like, who are you with yourself? You know what I mean? Like, who, not, and these are like all like talks I had with myself, but I'm like, who are you trying to convince
you have
here?
to.
You know what I mean? Like,
you have to.
You know, what do you, when I do something, I have this conversation quite a bit, but it's like the act of like being a good person. Like, I don't know if I I don't know if I'm naturally like a good person.
I don't focus on being a good person.
You know what I mean? I just like do what's best. Like, that I think what's making me feel like I am doing something that's right. Like, and I know when I do something that I know feels wrong. You know what I mean? And that's not. I don't care what somebody else, because I sure, like, you can do something wrong and have someone come up to you and convince you that like, oh, well, it's all right, like this and that. I'm like, no, but if I know that it's not right, then that's who I got to be good with. Like, that's I have
to always ask myself if it's right and if it's necessary.
Okay,
you gotta have both at the same time. And if you don't, then we need to reevaluate, my friend. We need to see what other options or solutions we can come up with. But it has to be, just like my grandmother used to tell me, think before you speak, before you act. Is it right or is it necessary? What is this going to do for you later on?
Yeah, I've
how are you going to benefit from this later on?
With like people who like on social media and stuff, like, will immediately want to argue with everybody like on the internet, and I'm like, that's when I'm like, is that necessary? You know what I mean? Like, and it causes a lot of just like internal just anger that you hold on to. Like, when you're searching for, I feel like at a certain point you're just searching for people to disagree with.
People that started.
Yeah. And there's some people that post stuff that it's like, going to be polarizing, and they are baiting people into like, oh, let's start something. I go, but
well, everybody gets paid for this now.
Yeah,
everybody needs engagement.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and that's what
everybody's an influencer,
and that's what, like, honestly, that's what the internet now has done to me. Is that like now every time I immediately have a thought about something, or even if something like, oh, they did something wrong or something, I'm like, oh, I can just not say anything. Yeah. I go, that's an option too. I can just not engage in this. Yeah, because then I realize, I go, the more I engage in something, the more that's gonna keep popping up, and the more it's gonna like happen. I mean, who knows how the algorithms work? But I know for sure that's something that's happening, and I'm like, I just don't need to. You know,
honestly, contrary to popular belief, I really be letting shit go. Like, I really just be like, you know what? I ain't even got, or if I gotta say something, if I gotta like speak my piece, I'm gonna speak my piece, and I'm gonna let this shit go. I'm like, you're not even a forethought anymore. Like, I'm gonna let that go. Because and I can't hold on to that. I can't live my life based off of some weird ass anger. Like, I cannot do that to myself.
Anger is like one of the emotions, that I think is a complete like waste of time to hold on to. Like, it happens. I don't think emotions happen, but like to not wanting to let go is that's with every emotion. To be honest with you, I think
anger got me to where I am. Can't stunt. Okay. I really do. I think a lot of my anger, I'm just older now. Yeah. I almost call myself old. But I'm just older now. Hold on. But I'm just older now. I'm just in a much different place than I've been really before in life. Mm-hmm. And I just went through a traumatic, life-altering, life-changing, gut-wrenching event. And so it is kind of shifted my perspective a little bit and maybe changed me in some ways where I can just be like, you know what? I did it and they did it and we did it, and I can either hold on to it or I can let it go. But before, like, I've been angry my whole life. Like, and a lot of it I thought was the world, just like things happening around me, being a black woman, being a black girl, growing up fat and black, like all of those things help build up anger. And also coming from an abusive household. But I thought a lot of that was just like the revolutionary in me wanting so badly for the liberation of my people. And now, just now in retrospect as I speak, I think that it has been a collective of different things that has, because every time there's anger, there's action. Yeah. Or for me anyway. Like, if I get mad about some shit, I'm finna do whatever I need to do to get me out of it. Because I don't ever want to be in a box or compartmentalized in a space where I cannot get out of, where I feel like I can't breathe or like I'm drowning. So anger has always helped me to come up with a master plan real quick, and figure out a solution to whatever it is that I'm angry about. And if it's a person and something they did, then that's just gonna have to be something that I take in, deal with, internalize, and let go. I have not done that before, and so, but a lot of my anger would manifest as action. And so now I try not to be as like, it's still there. It'll never go away. And I think it's my friend. Like, I think it's important to, what's the word? Not really coincide, but just like to build relationships with all your emotions, all the good and the bad emotions, and where they stem from and how they happen. And I think how they happen. And I think a lot of people do not spend enough time with themselves.
Yeah, or in those emotions, like or
in those emotions, you spend time with yourself, you'll be able to handle your emotions better.
Instead of again ignoring them, or not, like, even not taking action on some of them and just letting them just build, or ignore them, and then they manifest when you don't, like,
and I think when we do stuff like that, we let ourselves down.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, absolutely. I had a friend once told me, I forgot. He got it from somewhere, but anyways, the idea was, like I mean, you're gonna feel emotions, like feel all of them, like be in them. It's like, do not ignore them, like feel them, but at the end you have to let it go. Like every one of them is like, it's like it's not. And then for me, like he was specifying, he's like, it's not just anger and sadness, like that are emotions. I go, your happiness is going to go away. Like you have to work on that daily. Like that's a thing that is not like you get happy one day and it's like, cool, I cracked it, you're done. Like, no, that's a thing you work on every day. Like every day, the happiness will go away too. Like, all the other ones will go away, like, but just be in them. So when you're happy, enjoy being happy, but figure out how to do that again. Like, how do you keep that going? If you're angry, you don't want to feel angry. Okay, feel it. There's a reason why. Take yourself out of that situation next time. Or it's all a learning thing. And again, it's come with for me specifically. It's come with time. Like definitely come with time because I was always. Yeah, because
which most things do.
Yeah,
everything comes with time.
Yeah,
for
and it just feels so simple. And I see, especially like in the community that I'm in now, the age ranges, and I have a lot of like people that come to shows or artists or people that I talk to that are younger, and I see like that younger like ideal mindset. I don't try to force anybody out of it because that's how I learned. Like you experience it, but I do see it, and I'm like, okay, like it's there. They're feeling something similar to what this is, you know what I mean? And I'm like, cool. And I'm like, it's nothing, I can't, again, there's nothing someone ever told me that got me out of something really like just as a fleeting word. But for the ones that I do manage to build some sort of relationship with, a friendship or anything like that, then those are the ones that, again, I do not have to say anything. They just see me as who I am, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, and I'll notice some changes here and there in like their demeanor or the way they're dealing with stuff. But
the way you live your life, the way you
without me having it,
I'm
not trying to preach at anybody and tell you how to live your life. Like, you will find out how to do that.
Yeah,
the good and bad ways. But it's so fascinating. But community is definitely something that everybody needs. I think what you've built and what you're doing is awesome. There's a total of how many at the moment, like fridges?
I think there are 3.
3? Okay.
There's 3. Yes.
I forgot which location. The only one I know for sure is the north side one, and there's a
yes. I have the north side one. I have the one at Westside Presbyterian Church, which is not. It's probably about 10 minutes from here, and then the one at Goodwill. The regional Goodwill on Campus Drive. And
then ways that people can help out is one. Contributing, right?
Yes, so always contribute.
So it's got a pantry side, so you can bring canned goods and stuff like that. But it's also actually a fridge, so you can bring in other stuff. I know online there's a suggestion of like certain things that you should bring in,
guideline,
like a guideline. Just things that would be more convenient to have out there. But the other thing is that you do have people can contribute fridges, like if they have one.
No,
is that still not
please
anymore?
Don't give me a fridge.
Oh, never mind. Okay, let's clear that up.
Please don't. I don't plan on opening anymore anytime soon. So there's nowhere for it to go.
Gotcha.
Because we don't have any space or any capacity to keep all these fridges or places to put them. But people can always go take food to the fridges. If you can't do that and you're willing to give monetarily, you can do that. Also on our website, funkytownfresh.org/donate. Our Venmo and our Cash App and like our GoFundMe, all those things are there. Everything is on the website, like all the information, all the fridges. And it was recently updated. Shouts out to Miss Camille Houston. The website was recently updated, so I do hope people utilize it and look at it because it's fly. It's fly. And it's been there since September, I think. So all the information is there. It really is just a refrigerator sitting outside on a get what you can, take what you need basis. So if you have food to give, take it.
Yeah.
Don't bring nothing open. Don't bring nothing you don't want. Don't bring nothing you wouldn't eat or you wouldn't feed to your own child. But if you got food and you know somebody can benefit from having it, take it. And let people come get it. And that's it. If you're hungry, go eat.
There you go. I like that. I like that it's simple. Well, I really want to appreciate you, Kendra, for stopping by today. This is really awesome. I like being in the room with people who are doing cool stuff. Like
thank you.
I think it benefits the community so much. And I think just even hearing part of your story and just like your spirit, like I feel like there's just going to be more things coming out. I don't know. I have that feeling. So I'm just excited to what the next idea is going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I appreciate you.
Got some hints in the oven, you know.
Turn the camera off. But yeah, thank you for stopping by, Kendra. Again, this has been episode 93 with Kendra from Funky Town Fresh.
That was the year I was born. Hold on.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
I know. Look at y'all, just aligning stuff. Yeah.
Alignment, baby.
Alignment. Keep
Thank
everything.
you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next time.
Thank you.
Sounds and breakdowns. Better lose your man. We should run away together while we still can.